Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Chris, the podcast on which I discuss your subjects and concerns, whatever questions you may have, as well as share my life with you. And yes, I did end up botching that intro a little bit. It happens sometimes since I'm still practicing a lot. If you do have any questions, please leave a comment down below and I'll get to it as soon as possible, which on most days will mean tomorrow, because I make a new episode almost every single day. I try to make it every single day. Some days I won't get to, unfortunately, but they are very rare and very far between. So leave your comments, and while you're at it, why don't you subscribe and like the video? That would really help me out. Anyway, back to I call it a video and a podcast kind of interchangeably, but in reality it is just a podcast-ish thing. So let's stick to that. On today's episode, I'm going to do the usual, to be honest. Just going to share my life with you, use this as a channel to rant a bit, all those kinds of things. So, today I am going for brunch with my family. And honestly, while I think it's going to be fun, and the food is going to be great, all that, I sometimes have that sensation that it would be a little nicer to just stay home. But that's just me, right? I don't know if you can relate to that. But when I initially agree to something, I'm very excited about it. Then the date approaches and I get less and less excited until I actually go or actually participate. And then I absolutely love participating. So I'm a little difficult in that regard. I'm difficult to deal with for myself, to be honest. And I've come to learn that when I get that feeling, I just want to stay home today, I need to ignore it, because it's not actually a real feeling. It's just me being me. I don't know if you've ever felt like that. I like to imagine that it's something that everybody experiences at least once in a while. But if it's not, then please do share that experience with me. What's it like to actually look forward to things? No, that's an oversimplification and an extremification. Don't know if that's a word, but it is now. We just made that up together. You'll have to apologize if I'm a little snotty today. I'm kind of stuffed, so I might sniffle here and there. I apologize very much for that. Anyway, we're going to brunch, like I said, and it's just going to be me, my mom, my sisters, and my grandparents, I believe. And of course, like my mom's husband and my sister's husband too. I don't know if the children are coming. Maybe not. I'm not the one who arranged it. Normally, in my family, you arrange your own birthdays. But because I'm a bit of a special case, I can't handle arranging my own birthday. I don't have the money to pay for my own birthday. But, my family doesn't want me to not have a birthday. And while I did say in a few episodes ago that no one seemed to really have time, and that was true, it was very difficult to set this all up. But, my mum doesn't want me to not have a birthday. She actually puts more into it than I do. And that's because, like I said, I don't have the energy, I don't have the money. And so if it were up to me, I wouldn't hold my birthday at all. I wouldn't celebrate it at all. I mean, my idea of celebrating my birthday was to spend the day with two of my classmates, not having told them that it's my birthday. Sorry, Lucifer is dissatisfied. To those of you who don't know, Lucifer is my cat. He's the little fella you can sometimes hear screaming in the background. He's a very talkative kitty. He's kind of funny when he uses the litter box. He'll meow at me as if to tell me, go pick it up immediately. And, sometimes he just screams for no apparent reason. But, he most of the time just wants cuddles or something. The issue is that I can't really give it to him when he is screaming, because then he learns to scream more. And I don't know. I think it's my ex's fault. I like to blame a lot of things on her, but we had him together, and I think she gave him attention whenever he screamed. So she just created this tiny monster. It's okay though. The funny thing is, he actually seems happier too now that she's gone. He's more cuddly now that she's gone. Much more personable, less afraid of strangers and guests. Which is strange when you think about it, because he seemed very happy with her. So I don't really know what's up with that. I think maybe it's because he's more... It had nothing to do with her, really. It probably had to do with arguments. So when we were together, her and I, there would be a lot of yelling, a lot of arguing and all that, and that's no longer there. So I think it's not because of her per se, it's more so the effects that her presence had. Because there were a lot of arguments. And admittedly, many of them were my fault. A lot of people like to smear their ex-partners, especially during a divorce and all that. And like, my friends and family have tried to smear her too, have called her names and been like, how dare she? And I'm just like, you know what? I was not the perfect husband. And I'm okay with that. I learned a lot from that relationship, and while it's definitely true that we should have never gotten married to begin with, seriously, everybody out there, check your priorities. Why are you with the person? What do they make you feel? Because the truth of the matter is that we shouldn't have been married. We shouldn't even be together, and it's a good thing that she left. It hurt a lot at the time, but ultimately it has led to a better life for me. I'm much more motivated. I'm doing things that I only dreamed of doing before. I'm becoming more and more functional, essentially. So her leaving, one of the best gifts she ever gave me. Sure, she could have done it in a slightly nicer way than just being like, here's a 5-page letter of why you're a horrible person. Bye-bye now. But that's, I guess because of all the arguing, she was probably worried. She didn't want to bring it up with me. And that's fair, because we did argue a lot. There were a lot of fights. And the fights were, without ending. So yeah, I'm not perfect. I'm definitely not. But even though I'm not perfect, and it's a good thing that she left and all of that, I still find a tiny bit of pleasure in knowing that she left thinking that I was what was holding her back. That was, the letter talked about how I held her back, how I did these things and those things that were causing problems. So, for example, weight. My ex struggled a lot with her weight. And in the letter, she blamed that on me. Because I like to snack. I like to get some snacks for the movie, and I'll have you know that she has the power to say no. She was not being force-fed snacks. But whatever. She blamed that on me. Then, after she left, I lost a lot of weight. Because I actually became more active. Started going for more walks and those kinds of things. She, on the other hand, did not. She maintained her weight. She stayed pretty big. And, those kinds of things, they make me feel a little good. We call it skadefro, I guess. I think that's a situation where I'm skadefro. But then again, not really. Right now it's the closest thing that I can think of that suits the situation. Is that she's suffering, I guess. And that makes me a little satisfied, it makes me smile, it does. She has not been able to find a new partner. No one wants to be with her. well, I found a new partner after what? Well, I met her 3 months after the divorce. And we got together a short while after that. So 4 months. It took me 4 months to find a new partner. 4.5. But yeah, that's the detail. Let's just call it less than half a year. Isn't that easier? In less than half a year, I found a new partner. And this partner is actually supportive and helpful. And, we just started that dropshipping business together. And while it's still being set up, she's doing her part. She's finding products to put in the store. She's actually helpful. And she cares about my success. We share some values, which we actually ended up in a bit of a... So I've talked about it before, how my girlfriend is overly sensitive and has a hard time controlling her emotions. Well, that does lead to some arguments sometimes, and sometimes those go out of control because I have problems with emotional regulation as well. But a lot of the time, she goes slightly off the rails while I manage to stay on track. And yesterday was one such situation. She was having a really bad day. She basically woke up, and one of the first things she did was accidentally, I'll have you know, raised her voice at me. And I just told her that's not okay. And she was very apologetic, and she recognized immediately that it wasn't okay, that she had no right. And I think that's great. She made an effort to seek forgiveness, and I was just like, no, relax. It's not something you have to make up for. You've already apologized, and it was just a small slip-up. But then it happened again later in the day, and she really was having a bad day. But that time she didn't raise her voice at me. It was more so she just started crying, basically out of nowhere. And so I had to convince her that things were okay, that it didn't have to be a big deal. And then at night came the whole thing about values. So we were watching this video where a guy said that it's important in a relationship to have the same values. And I said, I disagree. I think it's important to share some values, but you don't need to have the same values. And I used children as an example. Some people may value a huge family, while some people value a small family. In that case, a lot of the time, a compromise of a medium-sized family isn't going to hurt anyone. So, for example, I might say I only want one child, and my partner might say she wants 5, or whatever. Well, in that case, we talk about it. I explain, well, you see, it's going to be a lot of money, and I'm afraid that I won't be able to love them all equally, in the sense that, it requires time. And when you keep making new ones, the little one is going to take so much of your energy, and then the older ones are going to get neglected. And I want to be able to just focus my energy on my child, care for them and love them. And then your partner might go, I see your point. Now, I would like to have more than one child at least. Would it be okay if we had 2 children? Would you be able to deal with that? And I'll go, yes, of course. We might even have a third one, but it's more so I don't want making children to be the goal. I want it to be a bonus. And there you go. You have essentially solved the issue, because both parties had their own individual values, but they were also flexible in their values. And so you end up in a situation where you might get 2 children. You have met each other's needs to the best of your ability without sacrificing a good relationship just because there are some things you don't agree on. Now, there are other things that are more polarizing, such as polygamy versus monogamy. You can't, I forgot the word, but you can't put those two together. You just can't. If one person values polygamy and another monogamy, it's not going to work, because there's no actual middle ground. Monogamy is exclusive, polygamy is not. So, that's the value that you need to share. And that was the point I was trying to make, that not all values need to be shared. but some do because they are so polarizing. And she was actually the one who brought up polygamy versus monogamy, and I told her that that's a fair point and that I agree with her, though she's purposefully picking something that is polarizing in an effort to prove me wrong when I'm not actually wrong. It's not wrong for me to say that my partner doesn't have to be me. And she couldn't quite handle that. It was very difficult for her because she thinks that, like, she's been taught that if you don't share the exact same values, then you might as well not be in a relationship. But, you know, it's more so that it's not so much that she attacks me, she doesn't lash out, she becomes sad. It's an internal thing. And then she lashes out sometimes, but that's another matter. She's a good girl. She's just struggling with a few things, and so am I, and so was I. When I was her age, she's a handful of years younger than me. And a lot of things can happen in 5 years, you know. So, anyway, this is it for me. It's time for me to go. So, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye now.